Scream 2 is a 1997 horror slasher film directed by Wes Craven and is a sequel to the 1996 film. A lot of the same cast has returned for another round of murderous slasher fun, so let's dive right in. The premise of Scream 2 centers on Sidney Prescott still recovering from her horrifying encounter from the previous movie. As this is going on, a movie based on the events of the previous film has been made titled Stab. Now, it's at one of the screenings of Stab where the horror begins again, and now Sidney finds her and her friends become determined to find out who it is and must get ready for another round with Ghostface. I really like the approach they took with this sequel. One minor nitpick about sequels is that they are kind of underwhelming, especially if you know the first movie and are familiar with everything already. I guess that's why so many have problems with them. However, this is one of the few that manages to try a lot of refreshing new ideas while still staying respectful to the original. The best example I can think of is the fact that due to the mask being popular now in the Scream universe, that means the number of suspects is not as limited, and that it could even be someone who doesn't even go to Sidney's school. I also find it pretty smart how this sequel makes the point that others of its kind are not very good. I think the opening is possibly the scariest part for me, only because of the fact that normally you'd feel safe in a crowded place since you're not alone, but Jada Smith gets herself killed and proves me wrong. Also, her dying was very convincing, which did emphasize the horror, so kudos to her for that. I give plot a B+, very well executed. Next is acting, and I do think Neve Campbell's performance here is better than it was in Scream. While her performance in the first one was great, she was phenomenal in Scream 2 due to her authentic portrayal of someone who has been through something very scary. You could tell that she just wants to put all of this behind her so you actually do sympathize with her somewhat when Ghostface starts up his usual shenanigans again, and she's forced to confront him all over again. It should also be noted that Sidney is the best female horror character next to Laurie Strode in my almost objective opinion. I also really like the character moments between Gail and Dewey, and I feel David Arquette and Courtney Cox, really did interact with each other in a way that makes them feel like they've met before. Hell, even when they argue, it's still there somewhat because you can tell Gail genuinely wants to put everything behind them. I give acting an A. Despite it being good in the first, I definitely like it a lot better here. Finally, directing. Wes Craven, rest in peace. And to pay my respects to my favorite director, I spent the last hour bird watching. Anyway, Wes Craven is one of my favorite horror directors, and I think this film definitely shows why. The way he builds these characters up in a way that makes you feel as though you've seen them in real life, the world he creates, and all the ways he puts these kids into dangerous situations, and just how intense it really gets, is amazing because he does it in a way that makes it feel very immersive. It's so easy to connect with the cast of characters in these movies because they feel like people you grew up with. But that in turn also helped with the horror due to the fact that it made it more ambiguous as to who the killer might be due to how much you grow to love these characters. And it really does feel tragic when one of them is killed off because Wes Craven makes a point as to how much it affects those they care for. And like I said, he spends so much time, throughout the movie developing these characters and the people that you'll love just for it to rip them right out of your hands. Anyway, I give directing an A. Craven did a very good job on this. And it was just a very solid job on his part. Rest in peace, Wes Craven, as I said. It's kind of sad because he actually was planning more Scream sequels. Like, he actually had a fifth one planned. And I can only hope that the fifth one stays respectful to him. Overall, Scream 2 is a nice answer to the first. While I do like the first one a little better, I do feel this one is a step up in terms of characters as well as acting. Character development as well as acting. This film was a very fun thrill ride with some amazing character writing as well. I give it an A-. Very immersive watching a surprisingly good sequel. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and sub for more content.